Yeah, this is me at age 7 and 8. I did this for about 2 years. So right now, slightly above Baldwin Hills, a little patch of Baldwin Hills known as Kenneth Hahn Park. Now, Kenneth Hahn Park, it's one of my favorites here in LA. The cool thing about this place is that it's less crowded. Eventually it won't be, but let me give you the back cliff notes here. So Kenneth Hahn, he was the county supervisor from 1952 till about 1992. And the story is that he was driving through the area, noticed the hills of La Cienega, and was like, I want to turn that into a park. Let's do it. And so the idea was proposed right about 1968, and which was not long after the flood. There was actually a big flood that happened in 1963. So right about the same time. So 1968, the idea was proposed, and then it was developed, took a while, and then about November of 1983, this state park opened. And so it's a great place to come, get some barbecue and hiking trails. You got some really good trails, but one of the big benefits of this is you can see LA from the south point. So, boom, there it is. We're looking at the Pacific coast from the southern section of Los Angeles. Most people look at it from another point, which we'll get to in a moment, but actually, you know, if you pan more to the left, you can pretty much catch the three beaches. I know the sun will probably be in our face, but you got Marina del Rey, Santa Monica, Venice Beach. You know, it's a clear day in January, so you can see a lot of the Pacific. So then you go and you have Santa Monica pretty much, and then you have Beverly Hills, Century City. That's those patch of buildings over there. Combo mixed with Wilshire Boulevard buildings, those luxury apartments, Westwood, all of that in that cluster over there. And then as you keep panning to the right, you have a nice long stretch. Leads pretty much into more Beverly Hills, West LA, Miracle Mile District, right? Pretty much where I grew up. And then you keep panning over and you have Park La Brea. Then you head into Koreatown, and then you head over into downtown. Now what's even more cool is you got the downtown buildings with some snow-capped mountains in the distance. Don't ask me what kind or what type of mountain that is. Maybe Big Bear, maybe Baldy, I'm not sure. But yeah, downtown LA. So you have a nice panoramic view of Los Angeles from this side, which a lot of people go to Griffith Park or Runyon Canyon and they see it from the north end. You got Hollywood, which I totally skipped. Hollywood, the Griffith Park Observatory, you can see at the distance. So when most people think of hiking, they think of Runyon Canyon. Oh, let's go to Runyon Canyon. Runyon Canyon, you know, that's the target. And then of course there's Topanga Canyon, but Runyon is a pretty popular spot. But this spot is actually cool too. Kenneth Hahn is definitely the place. So, Baldwin Hills. Kind of an extensive history in terms of its development. I mean, you're talking like back in the 1840s, all right, with Spanish governments. But I'll give you the cliff notes. So at one point, Vicente Sanchez, you notice I got the Mexico sweater on. I'll do a little turnaround, bam. You probably caught it already, but the black and Mexican influence in Los Angeles is very, very heavy, folks. Do your research, okay? I'm not gonna go into some Spanish right now, but Vicente Sanchez, he owned this pretty much over 4,000 acres of this land. And at the time it was Rancho La Cienega o Paso de la Tijera, which means the swamp ranch or Pass of Scissors. So La Tijera, a lot of people use that street to go to the airport. La Cienega, they used to go to the airport, which is pretty much behind my videographer, Meagan. What's up, Meagan? So yeah, you have all of that. I'll get to the oil drilling in a moment, but here, let me flip to this side here.
I'm just gonna chase you.
So yeah, Paso de la Tijera, Paso de la Tijera. So yeah, Pass of the Scissors. You know, when you think of these names of places or names of streets, they connect to the landscape. So you're getting double education. You're getting the description of the landscape, and then you're getting the Spanish influence or Mexican influence. You think of a place like Cahuenga, which is what Hollywood used to be, which means place of little hills. And what is in Hollywood? Little hills. Then you have Rancho Rodeo de las Aguas, Gathering of the Waters. That was Beverly Hills at one point, or is now Beverly Hills, but it was swampland. La Cienega means the swamp. So anyway, so eventually you had the Sanchez family. His grandson took over it. His grandson's name was Tomas, and he ended up selling the land about the 1800s, late 1800s, and 4 dudes actually bought the land. You had Francis Temple was one guy, Arthur Hutchinson was another, and then you also had a guy by the name of Daniel Freeman, and I forget the other guy's name, but anyway, these 4 dudes bought the rancho. One of them had financial problems, and he owned this section, and so then he sold it to a guy by the name of Elias Baldwin. Elias Baldwin is the man that turned this into Baldwin Hills, pretty much put his name on it. So there you go, it became Baldwin Hills. And you know, originally it was just a pasture, just a place to kind of kick it and chill, relax, quality living. And then he passed right about the early 20th century, early 1900s, and his daughter, Anita Baldwin, then took over. She inherited the land and then discovered oil. And so then the oil drilling began. Now, we were pretty much the biggest distribution of oil west of the Mississippi, because you had on the corner of 3rd and Fairfax, where the farmers market is now, that was a big distribution with Arthur Gilmore and his oil company over there. And then you had the oil drilling over here. I don't know if you can see it. A lot of oil pumps that are not pumping. And that began about 1916. So yeah, that's pretty much the cliff notes of how this became Baldwin Hills. I know there's a lot more involved in things, especially with it becoming the Black Beverly Hills. I'll get into that later. But yeah, this is where I grew up.